Mother's Day is almost here, and you can get her the most beautiful time-tested gift around. A watch she can wear every day from Movement. Whether your mom is into classic dress watches, rare and refined ceramics, or tried-and-true bestsellers, Movement has something she'll love. And right now, everything at Movement is up to 50% off site-wide during their Mother's Day sale. A watch is a gift that celebrates all the time you spent with mom. And a Movement watch is even more than that. Movement uses industry-leading materials for their fresh modern watch designs, from technically complex ceramics to vintage-inspired style, all for an incredible value your wrist and wallet will both love. And with one-size-fits-all convenience and fast free shipping and returns, it's a stress-free shopping experience. Save big on the best Mother's Day gift ever with Movement. Get up to 50% off site-wide during their Mother's Day sale at mvmt.com. Again, that's up to 50% off at mvmt.com.
We made this.
Black alert. Black alert. Black alert. Black
Season
alert.
4 Star Trek Discovery is live. Folks, my name is Mike Slamer. My co-host is Ian Buckley. You can follow us on the Twitter and Instagrams at StarfleetPod for show updates, Trek conversation, funny memes, commentary, and more. We Are Starfleet is the name of this podcast covering all things disco, and we are a grand part of the We Made This network of podcasts. Real quick, there's been some controversy regarding the executives at Paramount Plus and Netflix UK unable to reach a licensing and distribution agreement for Season 4 of Star Trek Discovery. And so I know that international listeners may have a hard time watching the show for the next few months, and you may not want to tune in to this podcast. Completely get it, totally understand. If you are able to get the show on the high seas or the Orion marketplaces, if you will, we will continue to produce our breakdown reviews and recaps of each episode with our regular rotating selection of Trek guests. However, our social medias will refrain from posting any type of overt spoiler and or screen grabs that are not already shown in trailers. And of course, folks, much love to the cast and crew of Discovery, the writers, the producers, the editors, and especially the cast. Like, you guys, we love you. We know this is corporate stuff at play, and we all hope for better. Anyway, I'm super excited to announce that this is episode 30 of the podcast. And while Ian and I love to chat Trek, we are both currently away on Risa as part of a special Federation liaison task force. At the con are two lovely people, both of whom I'm super excited to have walking you guys through Season 4, Episode 1, Kobayashi Maru. Ah, man, I'm so excited about this one. Is Luke Winch and Ashley.Thomas. You all know Luke from his previous guest spots and his hosting over on the Rarely Going podcast, and I'm sure you guys all know who Ashley.Thomas is. Check her out on our previous episode from just last week where we broke down the entirety of Season 3. Folks, I'm going to pass it over. Thank you so much, and let's fly.
Okay, so thank you, Mike, for giving Ashley and I the opportunity to host We Are Starfleet. We're very excited to do this on episode 1 of season 4 of Discovery, Kobayashi Maru. So what we're going to do, I think, is give our overall impressions of episode 1, what we thought of it. We're going to do it in a spoiler, as much as we can, spoiler-free fashion, and then we're going to give you a rating out of 10. I think because we had a tribble in it, we're going to do tribbles out of 10. So,
yes, I was very excited about the tribble.
Exactly. So, Ashley, we'll start with you. What were your overall impressions of episode 1 of season 4, and how you felt about it afterwards?
I think this is a really solid open. I've watched the episode, I think, about 5 times now. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah. How about you?
I actually think it's probably the strongest season open of Discovery so far, I think. I think it was a really strong start. There's a few scenes that I think I have not issues with, but just kind of little nitpicks. The first couple of times I watched it, I kind of switched off my critic hat and just watched it to enjoy it, which I'm really glad I did. And then, the next couple of times I was putting my critic's hat on and going, okay, this, what works, what doesn't, what isn't as good, and in terms of character or plot moving forward and stuff like that. So it's some stuff that we can definitely discuss in the spoiler section. But it had a very Kelvinverse Trek feel. I think the whole episode did. I don't know about you.
I think that's fair. I hadn't thought about it quite like that, but yeah, I think you're right. You could definitely get some Kelvinverse overtones.
Yeah, the cold open especially, it really reminded me of Into Darkness.
Yes. That was very much a, I thought about that as well while I was watching. It's like, this feels like, Into Darkness or Beyond, either one.
Yeah.
You had similar kinds of openings, so.
What I think we'll do then is we'll just go through some quick social media reactions to the first episode. Our first one is from our very own Kurt North in our Discord Podverse. Really engaging stuff. He liked to see Burnham's assuredness challenged. Great opening episode. The butterfly planet he thought was the weakest element, but he really enjoyed Tilly's scenes in this episode, and he also really liked the Saru and Sukar stuff as well, and I think we can get into those scenes definitely because they're very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Full disclosure, I love Tilly. Anytime I'm going to be on this podcast, I'm going to be talking about Tilly, so she's my favorite. So I think that's a pretty good summation about how I feel overall, spoiler free. Really enjoyed those aspects that he mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. On Twitter, Norm Can't Shoot. He did like this whole tweeting while watching thing, but his last one was final thoughts on season 4, episode 1. This is quite negative, this one, but I thought I'd balance it out. No clear message, lots of filler, pointless CGI action. Burnham saves everyone pretty much by herself again, and no one has any real character arc. That was his last summation.
Okay.
We can certainly discuss that.
Yeah.
Another one, Colin Serzender. Sorry if I butchered your name there. I'll admit I got a little bit misty-eyed when they rolled out the Archer space dock.
Yeah. I got excited about that too.
Yeah, definitely. Another one, I've got to hand it to Disco Season 4, the story writing. It's not every day that you see a season premiere featuring a conversation in which the protagonist is wrong. Intriguing meta-commentary on the downside of Season 3. That's interesting.
Okay.
And the last one is from Cruss at Crusader, Kreuzadr. God damn, the Star Trek Discovery premiere was a fun space rescue adventure. Probably my favourite of the entire series to date. Also makes an interesting companion episode to Star Trek Lower Decks' finale, which was also an insane space rescue adventure. Good point there.
Okay, interesting. Hadn't thought about that.
Okay, so I think we are very desperate to get into the spoiler section because I don't think we can contain ourselves any longer.
All right, I'm ready. Black alert.
Okay, let's go into Black Alert.
Black alert. Black alert.
So then, Ashley, let's go straight into this. Let's talk about the cold open at first. One of our commentators said that Kurt said he thought it was the weakest aspect of the episode, and I actually would tend to agree with him here. It was fun. I thought some of the humour fell a little bit flat.
Okay.
There were certain moments that I did laugh, and certain moments I was like, trying a bit too hard there. But overall, I thought it was a good, fun open. And as we said, it was very reminiscent, I thought, of the Into Darkness opening as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I personally, I loved it. I thought it was hysterical. I love like all of the little misunderstandings and things like that. It's like, oh, error in communication all over. This is really funny. But also, I'm a cat lady. I love Grudge. And they're like, you brought a carnivore here? And they're like, oh, but no, it's our pet. And it's like, is she grateful? Of course not. It's like, no, the cat is not grateful. But then they're like, oh, but no, she's a queen. And like, you would take a monarch prisoner or hold a monarch captive. It's like, oh no, like you just keep digging that hole deeper and deeper and deeper, and you're gonna have to run. That made me laugh. It was so fun for me. But yeah, it definitely has Kelvinverse vibes for sure. Kirk, getting into shenanigans and Bones letting him have it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I really liked the fact, though, it really illustrated very well the potholes of First Contact and how the slightest wrong word or response, and that kind of disconnect with language can really land yourself in hot water, which it does here. So it's really good at displaying,
Right.
the sensitivity of First Contact.
Also, I'm going to say I don't know the name of the butterfly people, so I'm just going to call them the butterfly people. The butterfly people, when they take their flight form, it was actually
Looks
really
amazing.
it looked amazing, but it's also like kind of scary too. I was like, ooh, horror and Star Trek, I'm here for it. Let's go with that. But yeah, that was really fun to watch. I just. You know what? It was fun. Sometimes all a thing needs is to be fun, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't really have a lot to do with any of the rest of the plot of the episode, but I mean that's why it's the cold open for a pilot. It's not like it has, it's not like unless it's intending to pick up directly from the finale of last season, which it's not. Then it's totally fine if it's disconnected with the rest of the story.
Yeah, I mean, what are we 5 months on? I think from the events of season 3. I think they mentioned at some point.
Yeah.
So. It's a good kind of slice of life for what the Discovery is doing at the minute,
For sure.
Establishing contact with these alien species that haven't been in contact with the Federation for many, many years since the burn. So it's a matter of reintroduction again, isn't it?
Right.
To the Federation and Starfleet.
Right.
I did question at first, why is Booker here when he's not part of the Federation? But I liked the idea that she brought him because of his empath abilities, and I really appreciated that detail in that scene as well.
Yeah, that was really nice. Just especially in a situation where the people they're trying to make contact with, they seem to have some sort of empathic connection as well to the butterflies.
Yeah, because there's an interesting link, isn't there, between the satellites giving them their navigation when they're flying and the aiming of their guns as well. It wasn't like a explained too deeply, but you just got the sense of what this culture relies on, and it was a good cold open. Yeah,
They gave you just enough to where you could understand a little bit about how their people function. And then you were able to, go from there. And that, I mean, I have a master's degree in science fiction. That's really good, sci-fi storytelling. Because you get just enough science to explain things, and depending on whether or not you're reading a harder, softer science fiction, then your mileage may vary about how much you want the science to be accurate. But you know what? You've given enough explanation that it seems reasonable within the story that you're telling, and that's really good.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. So once they get off the planet and everything's right and they give them the dilithium, we get a sense that Michael Burnham is very assured of her abilities. And there's a nice conversation between Burnham and Book afterwards, where Booker's, he's not questioning her, but he's a bit worried that she's relying on luck a bit too much. And I think this is one of the main themes that runs through this episode. And once we get to President, is it Relic? Relic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And once we get to the interactions with her, which are some of my favourite scenes in the entire episode, it really becomes apparent that Burnham's character, I think, is in need of character growth through failure, and that's something that she hasn't really kind of accepted at this minute. And I think Booker, he kind of says, we were lucky down there, and she says luck is being ready, which I think is a really risky way of not only going through life but being a captain and running on a ship.
It kind of reminded me of a quote from Benjamin Franklin. It's the harder I work, the luckier I am. And I was like, wow, this is a very American thing to say. As an American, I can confirm. but yeah, like I also like I don't know. There are aspects of Michael's personality I find very relatable. And the part that she gets called out on was really like I felt that one. Because you've suffered tremendous loss early in your life, you now have the pathological need to save everyone. And I mean, we can get to that a little later. This is towards the end of the episode, but I'm like, ooh, ouch. And then when Michael says, I fail to see the negative in that, I was like, damn right. That's how you do it. But I mean, this is the thing that Michael, one of the big complaints about Michael, and we can dig in a little deeper later, but like, people think that no one can like challenge her or step to her because she's just going to do whatever she wants, and somehow she's magically always right. Which, I mean, I've not disagreed with any of her real decisions either, and I don't know that I personally would have acted differently in a lot of the things that she's done, except maybe knocking out my captain and taking over the ship. I probably wouldn't have done that, But I can see like that. I think that's a fair criticism, and I think this episode and I think this whole season is really going to address that.
It's something that I'm really, really hoping that the writers dig into quite deeply because I love Michael Burnham as a character, but I also want her to grow as a character, and I think failure and loss is a defining way humans grow and become a better person, and maybe also look at themselves and question themselves sometimes, because she's very assured, she's very I might say sometimes brash, on occasion, and she can be quite defiant, which is a great trait, but it can also be a bit of a drawback as well when you're confronting other people. For instance, later on when all our conversations with the president are very confrontational from both sides, and it becomes a huge verbal tug of war at times. But it makes for great television, and it also makes for really good scenes for Michael Burnham. I like her being challenged. I like her having to question herself, because it makes her a much more better character, I think.
Yeah, and Michael seems to be the kind of person, like, once she makes a decision, she's not going to question that again. She's not going to second guess herself. She's, she even says in season 3, I would rather regret something I did than something I didn't. And that's very much how she acts. So it's interesting to have somebody kind of stand in her way and make her ask those questions, rather than not. So I really enjoyed that aspect.
So Starfleet Academy is open again. There are new recruits, which is good to see that they are moving forward. What are your thoughts then on the introduction to President Lara Relic and her character and like her speech?
Yeah. So I actually was fortunate enough to be included in the Star Trek Discovery virtual premiere on Wednesday this week. So I'm actually a graduate of Starfleet Academy. I got this in the mail, my certificate of completion yesterday. That was really cool. And they sent me this very cool Discovery Captain's Chair pen, which was pretty sweet. Anyway. So, as a graduate of Starfleet Academy, a couple of things immediately came to mind. I know this is 930 years in the future. I know we've made progress among different planets and peoples coming together, but I was just so encouraged to see lots of different races among the cadets. So you've got a Ferengi, you've got a Bajoran, you've got a Tellarite, you've got humans. Those are just the ones that I remember just offhand. But, you've got all these different kinds of cadets, which is awesome. And then you get the introduction of President Rillick. And I, too, share Michael's distrust of all politicians. But one of the things I thought was super interesting about her is that I don't know whether or not to tell she's sincere. And I don't know if some of this is my Deep Space Nine prejudice bleeding in, because I know she does have some Cardassian ancestry, but you have to keep in mind as well, she's also got human and Bajoran ancestry, and that blows my mind, because Cardassians and Bajorans, of course, bitterest of enemies in Deep Space Nine. The only time you see Bajoran and Cardassian lineage mixed is, through very unfortunate circumstances. And so now, we're 930 years in the future, these people have worked past those things. And I think that's very Star Trek. That's very much like, we can be better if we start to work together. And that all of what that represents to me is that's just hope. And I love that. That being said, we have President Rillick, and we're we understand that Michael is distrustful from her. I'm willing to kind of see how she does, how she's going to interact with people, because at minimum she has like an air of sincerity about her.
Mother's Day is almost here, and you can get her the most beautiful time-tested gift around. A watch she can wear every day from Movement. Whether your mom is into classic dress watches, rare and refined ceramics, or tried-and-true bestsellers, Movement has something she'll love. And right now, everything at Movement is up to 50% off site-wide during their Mother's Day sale. A watch is a gift that celebrates all the time you spent with mom. And a Movement watch is even more than that. Movement uses industry-leading materials for their fresh modern watch designs, from technically complex ceramics to vintage-inspired style. All for an incredible value your wrist and wallet will both love. And with one-size-fits-all convenience and fast free shipping and returns, it's a stress-free shopping experience. Save big on the best Mother's Day gift ever with Movement. Get up to 50% off site-wide during their Mother's Day sale at mvmt.com. Again, that's up to 50% off at mvmt.com. Mother's Day is almost here, and you can get her the most beautiful time-tested gift around. A watch she can wear every day from Movement. Whether mom's into classic dress watches, rare and refined ceramics, or tried-and-true bestsellers, Movement has something she'll love. And right now, you can save big on the best Mother's Day gift ever with up to 50% off site-wide during Movement's Mother's Day sale at mvmt.com. Again, that's up to 50% off at mvmt.com.
And I think one of the reasons Michael distrusts her, especially later on in the episode, is that she constantly pushes back against Michael. And I don't know that Michael really likes that.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah.
But I think she needs that pushback.
She really does.
I think, yeah, she does. And I'm really glad that they've introduced this character, Relic. I loved that there was a look that Burnham gave her when she just starts her speech and she goes, "I want to thank the USS Discovery." And there's just this look that Burnham gives her, which is, for me, the first indication of hostility, the first indication that her back is up. Mm-hmm. And I've complained in the past about the writers, on occasion. I think this episode and how they've dotted these little moments of between these two characters, fantastic. I think it's a really, really well built momentum to the final scene with these two. So I like that moment. I also like the moment where she talks about starting the original mission of Starfleet, which was scientific exploration. And there's a shot of Stamets nodding, yes. I like that. I love that, the acknowledgement that he has for that. And it's great. I love that they're getting back to the core of what the Federation and Starfleet's mission was. And now they're being reconnected again because of dilithium. They're able to function as the Federation once did in to a certain capacity. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that as well.
And Tilly promoted to lieutenant. I bet that was good for you.
Yes, it was. Get it, girl.
Yeah, she hasn't got a lot to do in this episode. She has some stuff to do on the space station later on. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I've noticed in this episode is she's almost pining to be back home, and she doesn't know what home is.
Right.
And that gets discussed later on where, when they're talking about what they're going to do when they get off the station. And there's Adira going, "I'm having a tea and a bubble bath," which I quite like. That was funny. And then you got, is it Nahlas?
Nahlas, yeah.
Yeah, Nahlas. And, he's talking about that he hasn't been home for ages. And Tilly doesn't know what to answer because she doesn't really have anywhere to call home properly.
Yeah, and I would say once they got into the future, Discovery has been firing on all cylinders the whole time. They've had very little margin for rest or shore leave or anything like that, aside from the night where they had movie night and watched Buster Keaton. That's the only time we see him taking a break. So I would imagine on some level, going to the celebration of the opening of Starfleet Academy might be like a little bit of rest, but it's still work. It's still duty. You can only work for so long without it like stressing you out or, changing like your whole mentality about like rest and things like that. And she doesn't know what to do because it sounds. We get some background about Tilly's upbringing. Very overbearing mother, lots of conflict in her house, and Tilly just very much wants everybody to be friends and stop arguing. Now all of that has been removed from her life, and that's, on some levels a good thing. Like, that's not a healthy environment to live in. But at the same time, she doesn't know, like, so what does home look like now? Don't really know. So, yeah, it's a good question. I hadn't really considered very much until you brought it up. So, thank you for mentioning that. That was good.
No worries. So after the cadet scene, we get a nice little scene with Admiral Vance and Michael Burnham. I do like Admiral Vance. He was one of my favourite characters in season 3.
Oded Fair is so good.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
But going back to the point you made about politicians, that he says a very interesting line, which I quite agree with, which we need in our times as well, which is we need an adept politician in fragile times. And maybe President Relic is this adept politician. We don't know. Maybe that sincerity is true, but it seems that Vance is very much trying to be the conduit between Relic and Burnham, who can sometimes be hot-headed and impulsive. And Admiral Vance is that measured level-headedness. He brings Michael down just a little bit, going, try and give it a chance and see what happens.
Yeah. And the line he says about it could be what does he say exactly? It could be to your advantage to have a politician on your side or something. It basically is what he said. That kind of raised my hackles a little bit because I hate when people try to influence politicians in that way, like to get some varying degree of nepotism of sorts. I personally I just hate that because it feels inauthentic. And
it's lobbying, isn't it? Basically?
Yeah, lobbying. It feels deceptive. I don't like anything like that. Thus, I am distrustful of all politicians. So when he says that, I'm like, dude, seriously, did you just say that? Because that's scummy. I don't like it. And I feel like Michael probably feels the same way. She's all like, no, because, say what you will about Michael Burnham, but she is straightforward. She shoots straight every time. You never have to guess what she's thinking. Because she'll tell you. So the idea of her trying to be buddy with a politician because it might help her later on, is totally not her style, and thus she pushes back against that. And you can see that in her every interaction with Rillick after that. Aside from the fact she's already distrustful of politicians, the fact that she just she says it right there. She's like, Rillick's just trying to check off a box, and so that makes it makes for interesting interactions for sure, because that's how she interprets all her actions. Yeah,
it does. And particularly that moment when the president literally invites herself onto the ship. Unfortunately, Burnham can't, as much as she questions it for safety protocols and so forth, she actually can't stop the president from doing it.
No.
And I think that element of that being out of her control, she doesn't like.
No.
Michael likes to have everything under control, and I think when we come around to the end of it and the title of the episode, Kobayashi Maru, it's all about accepting what you can't control. So I think these are little elements that Michael needs to kind of learn to accept, basically. And I think it's the whole theme through the episode, and it actually connects with the Kaminar and Quaton stuff as well, is acceptance of what you can't control and balance. And hopefully this theme goes through the series, and it's I'm hoping that it's going to be a positive growth for Michael as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to be really good. really, really good aspect of the story to follow this season. It's going to be really fun.
So once we're back on the Discovery, I like how Burnham's like, you might want to sit down for the Black Alert, and she's like, no, I flew ships to my father. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I do like when Michael turns to her after the jump and expecting her to be kind of like a bit disoriented, she's just smiling.
Yeah.
I did like that. I thought it was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk a little about. Start again, Luke. Let's talk too much coffee. That's what it is.
No such thing.
Let's talk a little bit about crew dynamics, because we get some nice interactions between different crew members now. So we've got Arushkin and Detmer. I really like their relationship. They're great fun, and they're almost symbiotic in their nature, because they have to work together naturally anyway at the helm. But you also get to know that they are very close friends, because they like to kind of jab each other. Poke and fun.
Yeah. They give each other crap, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And Lieutenant Reese, I think, he's starting to get a bit more spotlight, and I like the way they're doing it. I like the way, actually, I think I've heard the names of all the crew members on the bridge more than I ever have.
Yeah,
and
I think that's a valid criticism of Discovery thus far. Is like you don't know your bridge crew. You get a little bit about each of them, but it's Michael, Tilly, Stamets. Those are the main people that you know. You don't really know your bridge crew very well, so that's hard.
Yeah, so I'm hoping the writers may have heard some of the fan response to this and is starting to inject a bit more of the crew. I mean, Lieutenant Reese was on the con while Malcolm Booker were on the planet, so it'd be good to get to know him a bit more. Yeah,
and then you only have this very brief scene with Bryce towards the beginning, but it sounds like he's been at Starfleet Academy doing consulting this whole time. So I mean, it gives you these clues. Is like your bridge crew is actually very competent, and so we need to we've just not focused on them as much. So, but yes, we want you to know that they are competent in these ways. So I liked that, and I hope we get to know our bridge crew a little better, for sure. And definitely. We have Nielsen, who is kind of almost silently in the background, but I mean, she had her big role as Arium earlier. In season 2. I mean, it's not to say that she shouldn't be in the spotlight ever again, but Nielsen's pretty different from Arium, so I would like to watch her come into the spotlight a little more as well.
Yeah, definitely. And we got the Adira and Stamets relationship, which I thought was really fun. It was a really good way to reintroduce them back into the season. They're obviously getting very close again, and I like the way they kind of complete each other's sentences, like they're almost in tune with each other.
Yeah, I really love that. That's their relationship is so sweet. I really love Paul. I think Paul's a great character. Paul's ego grates on me, and so it was really interesting last season just to watch him kind of soften a little bit. Not to be all business, but to really be the family guy as well. So I really enjoyed that. And it's nice to see, that's still a thing happening. New dad syndrome or whatever hasn't set in, or what, or he's not, it's not just become old hat. Like, he's still like very much involved. The first thing that he says when Tilly and Adira are over with Commander Nahus, they're like, "Is Adira okay?" And yeah. So that, I think that's really sweet.
Yeah, definitely. I'm the same as you. My first impressions of Stamets, particularly in the first season, was arrogant scientist. He had a big ego, and he was always right and everything. But yeah, you're right. He's really grown on me, and actually he's one of my favourite characters in the season now.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love his relationship with Colbert. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, this kind of newfound family thing that they've got with Adira and Gray to a certain extent as well is really sweet. What did you think to the Adira and Gray scene then? Do you how do you think this is working? Because it was interesting to see that they're getting a body at some point.
Yeah, and that was not something I really expected. I expected there to be a little more mystery about, well, how is Adira able to see Gray? Oh, nobody else can see Gray. Nobody else can hear Gray. So sometimes it just looked like Adira is talking to themselves. So, I would have expected there to be a little more conflict with that. So that was a surprise. They do make reference to Picard. So if you've not seen Picard, you're going to get spoiled for the ending in this first episode. But we made this android body and it worked. Somebody named Picard, and I'm like, oh, is that how we view Picard these days? I mean, to be fair, they've just come into the future. They've not had Star Trek history for the past 1,000 years. That's fine. It's fine. But yeah, so that was kind of unexpected to me. I think like my one complaint about Gray is that we've not seen enough of Gray to really get a good feel for who that character is, other than Adira's perceptions of Gray. Like, oh, you're confident and you're so smart, and you have all these great abilities. Kind of the side effect of being a Trill. Like, you've got thousands of years of history crammed into your very young brain. So, I don't know. I think, we need more of this character to, and I mean, I suppose as soon as Gray goes corporeal, we will. But I don't feel like we've had enough lead in yet for Gray.
Yeah, I know a lot of the discussion with these two characters is that some people find it hard to be emotionally invested because we just haven't had enough screen time for us to be invested in these characters. And I think I would agree to some extent. I really want this partnership to work because I think it's great for the LGBT community to have their this representation in it. Yeah. But I think it needs to feel more natural. And it needs to evolve organically because I felt the scene was a little bit shoehorned in just to make sure that these two characters had this moment in the episode. So hopefully going forward we can get more screen time, we can get more story development for them, and that'd be great.
Right. Yeah. So
we get Tilly and Adira transport over to the space station to help them, and we get introduction to...
Nahlis, sorry.
Nahlis, thank you.
Yeah,
oh my god, brain dead.
And what race do you think Nahlis is? This was a debate in House Thomas this weekend.
I had no idea, to be honest. I was looking at him going, I can't figure out which race he is.
Well, so I tried doing some searching, and Nahlis is a Bajoran name, but my husband and I both agreed he kind of looks a little bit Pakled. But obviously is much smarter than a Pakled.
Yeah.
So, but then Lower Decks is canon. Planet Pakled doesn't exist anymore. So we were just utterly befuddled. So if anybody has brilliant ideas or insider knowledge on that, let us know.
Yeah, he certainly looked more Pakled than he did Bajoran, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
But it is really interesting to see in this far future that we've got this mix of species and, with the president and everything. So it's really interesting to see these amalgamations that you can't quite figure out at times. Mm-hmm. So after this lovely waltz that the ship and the station do, I love that slow moment where you got the music going over and you just got the ship and the space station kind of moving around and around as they try and implement the fixes to the system. I thought that was really lovely. And then we get to our frozen methane debris starts raining down and chaos happens.
Yes, chaos. What is an episode of Discovery without some chaos?
Exactly. And this is the element that I find interesting because it's this whole, when does your luck run out? When do you run out of Lady Luck's promise? And I think at this point when stuff hits the fan, there's an escalation of things going wrong, so they have to get the shields up. Owu basically says, "Yep, it's going to drain power," and she's like, "Just do it. We'll figure it out later."
Yeah.
So it's a great on the spot decision, but it's the implications afterwards that I think Burnham doesn't quite think about enough.
I that did catch my attention. I was like, ooh, this could go horribly wrong, and you have no recourse. But I mean, you're that confident in the decision, like, yeah. I think, you know, again, we're going to be seeing a lot more of this season. I think President Rillick is going to be presented as Michael's foil, and I'm here for it. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely. What was your opinion then when Burnham basically says that she'll go out in the worker bee, and the president immediately says, you know, the captain's place on a red alert is on the bridge?
Yeah,
I kind of agree with her, to be honest.
Yeah. So I was of two minds about it. Last month, I had the privilege of getting to participate in roundtable interviews with the cast and crew of Discovery. And so, actually, the question I asked Sonequa was, how does Michael bring her human and Vulcan upbringings to the captain's chair? And I think this is an example of both. Because she says, you know, Detmer's right, worker bee is how we got to do this, but I will do it. That's very much Michael's human, gung-ho, fiery personality. But then she says to Rillick, I've logged more hours than anyone in this. I am the logical choice. And, you know, because there's no room for error. And I'm like, ooh, there you go. And I mean, last season, one of the criticisms we get of Vulcans is anything Vulcans don't like, they say it's illogical. And so, you know, I'm kind of weighing those things as I'm watching this scene as like, yeah, Michael's right, but it's very risky. You're still the captain. It doesn't matter that you have more hours than everyone. Like, you've got to be able to delegate too. And because if something happens to you, then, you know, and Michael's such a strong captain that's going to be a really hard captain's chair to fill.
That's a really good answer you've just given there. I mean, it's so good because they're both right, aren't they? The president and Burnham, in their own respects, are correct in what they're saying.
I can certainly see it both ways.
Definitely. And Burnham, as a crew member, it absolutely is correct. She's the most qualified. She's done the most hours. She needs to be out there. But as a captain, I think that's when, you know, it's on red alert when the ship's being bombarded with debris. Mm-hmm. Should she be delegating it to, say, Detmer, who is a skilled pilot anyway, and her staying on the bridge and being in charge? And I found that situation incredibly intriguing, and it was really good to see these two ladies battling it out together.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we get that moment in the worker bee, and I love this moment visually and what they did with the sound when the worker bees hit, and they mute all the sound out, and you get that lovely slow motion. I thought that was beautiful.
Oh yeah, first time I watched it, I was like, no. I mean, like, obviously, we're not killing off the main character in the first episode, but it's still, like, it did, like, catch me. It took my breath away. I was like, you know, I felt like I had gotten hit, especially when that sound stops. That was a really good sound editing choice there.
Yeah, definitely. It reminded me of the moment in The Last Jedi, when the ship goes warping through that, and they just take the sound out completely. Very effective. Very effective.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna throw a real controversial opinion. The Last Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Mine too.
Oh my goodness! Yay!
Yeah,
okay,
mine too. I love it.
We'll have to talk about that on a Star Trek podcast. But
yes, we're crossing the streams.
I love Ghostbusters.
So then we get Tilly and Adira then, and we get a moment where Nahlas is basically points a gun at Tilly because he is adamant that he's going to take his crew out for a suicide mission. As Tilly says, you know, you're leading them down a very dark path, which I love that line from Tilly. It's very, that's a leadership line. That's a leadership quality that she has. Yeah.
I really enjoyed watching Tilly's leadership ability come to the forefront, and like once Tilly like is just in leadership mode, she is in the zone and she's good. You know, she embodies this confidence that you don't
step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Always see like come to the surface with her character, and you know, it really tells you is like, no, this girl is confident. She knows what's up. She knows what she's doing. But when she's not in the moment, she second guesses herself too much. And she really got to come to the forefront and put those leadership abilities on display in this season. This scene, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, she was excellent. She was very assured in all her decisions that she makes. And when Adira was about to, you know, put the whatever she was, I can't remember what she was carrying, but she was about to put it into the system, and the guy was like, no, you don't. And Adira was like, you know, let him do it. We are guests. Very diplomatic, very measured. Behaviour, and excellent. I love seeing that from Tilly.
Yeah. She's very good at reading the stressful situation.
Yeah,
and let's think about it. This is some of her upbringing coming into play as well. If you have had to navigate a house where everybody's at odds all the time, you learn how to not set people off. And Tilly is taking that. I mean, that unfortunate part of her upbringing. Into the field where she knows right now the best thing for Nahlis is for him to feel confident and in control, because otherwise he's going to freak out. Which we see later in this scene where he feels out of control, and so he does the only thing he knows to do is to get off this thing. It doesn't matter that there's no life support in any of these other decks. Like, he's feeling he has to feel like he's in control of the situation to protect his crew. And so even that small thing of it's his ship, let him handle it, is very much like a side effect of that. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, and then President Rillick has her moment and talks Nahlis down, which I thought was a really good sign. You know, she's using her political diplomatic skills to calm Nahlis down, and she may have used a fabrication of the truth to do that, but at that moment where Burnham questions her, did you lie? Does it matter? She says, and I think the fact that she saved that situation, it might have been a little white lie. So if that's how you can win the situation, it's a moral quandary, but it was an interesting moment, and I kind of went on both sides a little bit.
See, I took it from the perspective like, well, if she was not telling the truth, there are other ways that she could have said, oh, I want you personally to show me the fissure of Jarrat when we get out of this. Because, I mean, there are ways that she could have approached that without having said, whatever, without having told a lie. As somebody who has the inability to lie, lying is bad. It's not I don't feel like it's personally as a good skill to have, but I also understand the impulse to you've got to do whatever it takes to get this man to not lead his crew into death, and that that's fair. I won't fault you too much for that, but if Rillick says, well, does it matter? And I'm like, yes, it matters, because that means that I don't know if you're lying to me or not. Like, in any scenario.
That is true, yeah.
So, that threw, for me, like, I was willing to give Rillick the benefit of the doubt, but that threw some questions for me into play. My trust in her is not super high. If I can't trust that she's going to always tell me the truth, then I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that lying is a political trait that many of our politicians have. Yep. So it's interesting that they've implemented that into her character's decision to do that. So and as you said, it is going to, Burnham's going to she's going to remember that lie. She's going to remember what she did, and it is definitely going to affect her trustworthiness of the president, I think.
Yeah.
I think you're right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like feeling like I can't trust somebody. If you lie to me once, it's going to be real hard to earn my trust back. So.
Yeah. What did you think then to the "are you pulling me from the chair" moment? Ooh. Do you think this? Again, I see her point of view and I see the president's point of view in this scene. Really, this is not the discussion to be had at that time when the ship is literally about to lose its shields and blow up, and they're kind of having a bit of a spat about it.
Yeah. I'm like, ladies, this is not the time.
Yeah, I mean, are you pulling me from the chair? It's a very defensive, knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
And again, it's Michael Burnham's impulsiveness. She sometimes doesn't stop to think about what she's going to say. She's just like, "Are you taking my captaincy right now?"
Yeah.
She's like spreading her arms, going, "Come on, then."
Mm-hmm.
But the president's very calm. It's like, it was an interesting scene. What did you fall on this one?
I think the thing, I can't remember if she says it earlier or if she says it in this scene, where the president says a question does not imply questioning. I'm like, that's a really interesting nuance to weigh. Like, yes, you can ask questions without necessarily like, you can ask questions.
It's a proper roundabout political response, though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, there's some interesting nuance to that statement. But yeah, so I don't know if you're into personality tests or anything like that at all, but I've thought for a while that Michael is an Enneagram 8. And this episode, like 1000% confirmed that for me. So I don't know if you're familiar with that at all, right? But one of the tropes of the Enneagram 8 is they don't necessarily have to be in charge, but they don't like not feeling like they're in control of a situation. And that's very much on display here. Michael's about to go do this very dangerous thing, and but she's doing it because she, yes, there is some merit in her saying this is the logical choice. But it's also very much a control thing for Michael, too. Like, she doesn't want this situation to get out of control, and if she feels like she's the best person for the job, well, she's going to do it. So, yeah. And then, you have anything that feels like a threat to her control at this point is going to be met with, like, severe retaliation. And so then you have this reaction of, are you pulling me from the chair? Because, I mean, Michael doesn't really have a lot of people on the bridge, like, pushing back on her. And so it's the first time she's got somebody really, like, stepping in her way. She has this reaction like, oh, no, girl, you did not.
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are. This is my bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes for great drama. And I found myself fully engaged in this episode, and I think the battle between these two has really elevated this episode for me. And in particular, that last conversation that they have is like, for me, that last conversation encapsulates it. I think it's the most fundamentally important conversation that has happened in Discovery.
I would agree.
Regarding Michael Burnham's character and her past and her loss and how it's defined everything that she's done. And she now faces a kind of Kirkian problem here where she has to face her Kobayashi Maru. She has to accept what she can't control. She has to accept that she may have losses, that she can't save everyone every day. And it's something that I've been wanting for these 3 seasons. And I think it will make Michael a better character. I think it will not only make for a fantastic season of Discovery, she'll get character growth through it. And I'm hoping this is what the season's going to be doing.
Yeah. I don't think we're done with the question of Kobayashi Maru. And so riddle me this, because I've watched all of Star Trek, but it's been a while since I've watched, like, TOS in its entirety. And I've only watched all of the movies once, except for, like, First Contact and Insurrection. So with Kirk, I mean, it seems to be like Kirk is very much praised for his "I don't believe in no-win scenarios" type of attitude, and personally, I that resonates with me. Like I may not win, but I'm sure as hell gonna try. I'm gonna try everything I can possibly do to beat the odds. It seems to me like Kirk is praised for that, but Michael gets pushed back. So, do you want to comment on that, or do you have a little more insight in that? Can you think of a scenario in which Kirk was really challenged on that more?
I think that's a fair comment you've made there, and I think it is interesting that Burnham's getting a lot of pushback for it. I think for me, I think the consequence that Kirk faces for that philosophy is losing his son David. I think that was the moment where his no-win scenario fell down, and it fundamentally changed him as a person. Not for the better, because there's a line in The Undiscovered Country, "Let them die," which is you can really connotate with racial hatred at that point. So he doesn't go down the best route, but he's changed as a person because he suffers the consequences of riding Lady Luck a bit too much and thinking that he can win the situation. So even though he doesn't get as much pushback maybe from fans or commentary, I think that moment for him in some ways changed the way he made decisions. And I think, I don't know whether the writers will do this, but maybe Burnham will have her David moment. Maybe she'll have a moment where her no-win scenario mentality kind of falls down on her.
Yeah, I would definitely not be surprised if that happens by the end of the season. I feel like that's going to be our finale. If I had to make an educated guess, we're definitely not done with this question of Kobayashi Maru. Yeah, and I think this is a good question, and I think also you've got to consider the fan culture in which this story is being told. Like, in 60s, 70s, and 80s, where you've got the original series show and films and things like that. Star Trek is still kind of seen as, yes, Star Trek has important social commentary, and it always has. But in some ways, you still have this thought of our heroes must.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Our heroes are just good, and that's all there is to it. There's not as much thought into, well, human beings are complex animals. Like, we don't always make the right decision. Our intentions aren't always pure. And I think interpretations of Kirk are kind of colored by that a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas, now, we love anti-heroes. We love our heroes and leads to be complex, and I think Michael's sincerity throws people off because people don't assume you're going to be sincere all the time. And one of the things I think I really appreciate about Michael as a character is that you can always count on her to give you an honest answer, and a lot of people don't know what to do with that. And so I think it's really fitting that her mom is now Kuat Malat, which I love the whole thing about absolute candor. I think that because I don't know how to not be honest with you and tell you exactly what I think. So I love that principle, but that also drives other people insane. So I don't know. I think there's some interesting layers that we're going to unpack with this character.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with you about her her sincerity. I think it is a bit of a... It does throw people off, and it's one of the elements I really like about a character. She says what she wants. Mm-hmm. She says what she means, and she doesn't go around the bushes about it. She will tell you head on. I mean, she challenges the president minutes after meeting her. Mm-hmm. You can't come on the ship. That breaks protocols. Right. So she is not afraid to challenge. Mm-hmm. What she wasn't prepared for was the challenge to be thrown back quite as much as it was by the president.
Right.
But I think, when you're talking about layers, when you're talking about why Kirk didn't have pushback, I think you're right. It is coloured by certain things. I think it is coloured by the fact that he's a white man and she's a black woman. Mm-hmm. I think that definitely comes into play, and it shouldn't. Right. Because she has every right to be a captain as all the other people that have gone before her. Mm-hmm. And they all need to learn, they all need to grow and learn through loss or suffering and victory as well. Mm-hmm. So I don't think the racial thing should have anything to do with it. Unfortunately, it does, and it comes out particularly on social media sometimes. It's very unfortunate, but this show is pushing the boundaries of acceptance and representation, and I think they should just continue doing it. Yeah. As long as the writing maintains the high standard that it does in this episode, right. I think they have every right to go forward as they want.
Yeah, and let me be clear. I'm not saying that everybody who doesn't like Michael is a racist.
No, not at all.
No.
I'm not saying that either.
Yeah, no. And I think, or a misogynist for that matter. And I think some of the criticism leveled at Michael is valid. Like, nobody can push back on her. Nobody crosses her, in every decision. She's totally justified in making every decision that she makes because nobody pushes back. And they're not letting that happen this season.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy about how they've approached this, and hopefully it will carry on through all the next episodes. Is there anything else that I've missed or that you want to mention about this particular storyline before we move on to our Quajon and Booker stuff?
No. I think these are the big things I've thought about in this particular plot line.
Cool.
Michael being challenged, President Rillick being her foil. I think this is going to be. I'm really looking forward to watching how that plays out this season.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on to our B plot, which is the Quajon and Booker. Actually, the B and C plots, I think you were talking about how Star Trek is social commentary for what we're going through, and I really think these two have a theme of interconnectedness that I think is really important at the minute, because through COVID, a lot of people have felt isolation, and we have found new connectedness through the internet, through Zoom, through everything. We've needed that connectedness with other human beings and with nature. And these two plots are really, really link up with that, don't you think?
Yeah, I would agree.
So I love the thing with the world route. And they're obviously initiating this young lad into, maybe it's a kind of adolescent move forward or something like that. And I love the idea of this, he says, the warmth you feel is a chain of a million hands. And I love that. Yeah, that was so, I mean, it makes sense, if you're coming from an empathic culture, like to have, like, this is the root of everyone. It is our heart. Just that idea of, we aren't just isolated. We don't live in a vacuum. We are, even our actions that we think are only affect us, they trickle out into the world, affect other people. So yeah, I really love that idea, and I think that's a very Star Trek idea. Oh, definitely. Yeah, and I really liked his other line. The universe is unknowable. It's a very humble approach to things, and I love the fact. I can't. Was I talking about this? I think I was talking about a Star Trek Prodigy. I think where I love the fact that the universe is unknowable, and I think human beings and other species. I think I think to a certain extent the universe should remain unknowable and mysterious, because I don't think particularly we as humans should know everything. I think there should be some mystery, some adventure, and I like that kind of spirit. And what is knowable is what we can touch and feel, and our ancestors before us, and we live in a vast universe that is beyond our control and that is unknowable. And I really like that sentiment.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I think too it also sparks that kind of, again, very Star Trek idea of, we don't know what we don't know, so let's go find out. Like you've got this. It piques my curiosity. Like, it's unknowable, but that doesn't mean we stop trying to learn or to seek and understand new life and new civilizations, that sort of thing. It encouraged me to boldly go, just in that one little statement. I thought that was really great.
Yeah, definitely. And I got a bit of climate change vibes with this as well, in the fact that the sap and the blood working together. So humans must work with nature instead of against nature, and I really appreciated that. And I like the fact that the birds stirring is the world telling these guys something's up, something's approaching, and it's going to be wrong. Yeah.
And again, makes total sense. Empathic culture. People with empathic abilities, you're going to notice things like something's off. Something's not right with the birds, and Book takes it upon himself to go find out. I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, just the actor who plays Book. What's his name?
David Ajala.
Yeah, David Ajala. He's wonderful in this scene. He's so good. He's got such warmth, isn't he? Having gotten to speak with him just a little bit in those interviews, he's a super sweet guy. And just, you can tell that he really, really enjoys playing Book. Yeah, he's great. He really injects some warmth and heart into the character, and I'm really looking forward to seeing. Well, I mean, he's gonna have to face some serious trauma because of what happens at the end of this episode. Man, that was so moving.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we're gonna wrestle with this season is not only just unpacking the trauma of losing not just your family in a horrible, horrible situation, but also he's got survivor's guilt. He's like, why didn't I take he's going to be asking those kinds of questions of why didn't I take them with me, or why am I still here when my young nephew is not? He's going to be wrestling with these really difficult and painful questions, I feel like.
Yeah, that's going to be some hard things to watch, I think, in future episodes, on how he's going to deal with this. And he's an empath as well, so that's going to that's going to elevate, the feelings of grief and guilt and everything.
Yeah, I mean, make all the Star Wars Death Star jokes you want, but I heard a deep, a disturbance in the Force, millions of voices cried out all of a sudden, and then were silenced.
Yes.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Book's gonna feel that way. As an empath, not only is, did he was right there when it happened, but, that special root is gone. I wouldn't be surprised if the empathic side of him felt something that we wouldn't have just by seeing it.
Yeah, definitely. So the implications of what happens at the end of the episode is going to be interesting going into episode 2 then, definitely.
For sure.
So then we get some Saru stuff on Kaminar. What did you think to these? They're quite short scenes, but I think they told us quite a lot about the psychology of what's going on in their minds and stuff, and the isolation and interconnectedness again coming through.
Yeah. That was a really good example of show don't tell, because you have that other half of Kaminar that used to prey upon the Kelpian half of Kaminar, and they're hovering outside the that big room. It made me think a lot about the Xindi in Star Trek Enterprise. Where the Xindi, you've got these 4 different types of Xindi, but they're all Xindi. But you've got the aquatics, and you've got these other kinds of people, and I think Kaminar is kind of like I don't want to say Kaminar is the new Zindi, but I mean, I got those vibes. Those scenes,
yeah, definitely.
Those conference scenes were very similar. But in Saru, like gestures, like we were once divided, and now we are working together, and I'm sure that was extremely shocking for him to take in, because you have this whole episode in season 2 where he has to like face off against I'm blanking on the name of the other half of the Zindi. Sorry, the other half of the population of Kaminar.
Yeah.
I really love that episode because it reminded me a lot of Alien, and that's my all-time favorite movie. But too, like, I mean, those beings, they look scary to us. They look like monsters, and they're not. They're just a different half of the people that occupy Kaminar. And I think that's really interesting and telling of how much progress has been made, just by them being there.
Yeah, definitely. There's that line that Sukal says about fear of the other. There'll always be people who are afraid of the other. He's speaking for himself, but you can also put it towards the other species as well, who they look very alien, they look very scary. But it's time to join together, accept who we are, and also realise that we're not alone, and we're just an island, as Saru says, amongst a galaxy of islands.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and he makes the point of saying, well.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Kaminar, yes, this is our home, but Kaminar is also part of a greater thing. And, and I'm like, that's such, I mean, that's interesting commentary on like isolationism and things like that. Which I mean is a whole other different layer of, I mean, that's a political social question, but I think also like you could really apply that again, to, we are in this, COVID culture where, yes, it is much safer to not leave your house. It's much safer to not interact with other people, but is that necessarily a healthy thing? And we are getting these kinds of questions all through this particular scene. I think that's really interesting. Also, can I just say that I love, like, by default, Saru is the great elder of Kaminar. Because he doesn't look like a great elder, because he doesn't look old, but technically, yeah, he's 1,000 years older than everybody else. So yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I love Saru as a character.
He's so
again,
wonderful.
One of my favourites.
He's so wonderful.
He's brilliant.
And it just, and also I go to a lot of cons. I had the privilege of meeting Doug Jones about 6 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Super sweet, gentle guy. And I feel like so much of that part of his personality really comes out in Saru. Because Saru is, I think he really embodies like this concept of servant leadership. Like he cares about his crew. He cares about other people. He doesn't ask anybody to do anything that he is not willing to do himself. And just that gentleness is such like a breath of fresh air and like a leadership, a type of leadership that is desperately needed in our world. And so encouraging to see that embodied. And he, even though he's not like the captain of a ship, like he's still embodying that in his role on Kaminar. Like he's the great elder, but he just kind of does his little Saru walk into the council chamber, council chamber. But like he looks very comfortable in that role of gently leading and teaching and things like that. I just love it.
Yeah, it's all those qualities that you just talked about him being a leader. It's something I think that I don't know how it's going to work, but I think Michael Burnham needs Saru.
Yeah.
Because Saru has that measured thoughtfulness that a leader needs, that a captain needs. He's not as emotional and impulsive as Michael can be in the situation. So I think there's some things that Michael can take comfort in with Saru and learn from Saru, and it'll be nice to see these two together again. And maybe Saru can be her confidant when she's struggling with decisions or struggling with her captaincy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for real. I think they are definitely a good balance. I think maybe one criticism of Saru's leadership is that he tends to play it a little too safe sometimes.
Yeah.
And Michael kind of pushes back against that, which I think is healthy. But also I think Saru like you said, like that measured, balanced approach. That's something that Michael really needs as well. So hopefully we'll get a little more of that.
Yeah, definitely. And balance is something that really comes through as well, because Sukal, who's matured wonderfully by this point, and he's giving Saru advice. Your home is here, but it's also out there as well. And it was a wonderful little speech from him.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that. You also get to see how much Sukal has grown as well, like going from effectively being a very frightened child who's lived, with holograms his whole life to, he's starting to incorporate into society, and I think it gives good testimony for what Saru is able to do as a leader. He's like, some people are afraid of me, but most are not. And you have built that bridge for me to help me incorporate into Kelpian society.
Yeah, definitely. So it'll be interesting to see where Saru goes from here, which I'm bound to be. It's bound to be back on the USS Discovery, I think, at some point.
Let us hope. Let us pray. So,
yeah, definitely. Any standout moments? Any certain moments that really excited you or impacted you that we may have missed at this point?
No, I think like the big moments that really stuck out to me were the scenes with Rillick and Michael, but particularly that conversation of you want to know what it says in your file. I love that that file really gives you a good, like almost like a psychological insight to Michael's character and why she tends to act the way that she does. And Michael's like, yeah, what's wrong with that? I really enjoy that. Especially like the pushback that she gives is like, no one's denying your acts of heroism. No one's saying that the things that you did were not brave or important or anything like that, but they are vast swings of the pendulum. And I'm like, ooh, it's one of those, like, you sit back, let's pop some popcorn.
Wrecking ball.
Yeah. So that was a really bold statement. Also, like, I feel like Michael, on some level, probably appreciates that Rillick is, Michael shoots straight and tells it like it is. Like, I feel like Rillick does that too, like, tells it like it is. Absolutely. Here, at least in this scene. I mean, we've already mentioned that we're, her saying, does it matter, whether or not she lied? I mean, that kind of throws some of her statements into question, but you can tell she is telling it like it is in this scene. So that was like the big highlight for me. I really enjoyed that. Just for the implications that has for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it is one of the most fundamental, important discussions that there's ever happened on Discovery, and it's a real like microscopic look into the character of Michael Burnham, and it excites me that they're going to be doing this season. We're going to be really looking at her good values, and also the problems that she has, and growing as a captain, and looking at the macro picture. And as the president says, we need to put the many over the few, and what she did today was put the few over the many, and that ties in with the Vulcan philosophy as well. She went against that today, and it's interesting to see the human and Vulcan sides of her kind of fighting internally.
Yeah, I think you've also got this idea where Picard kind of held everybody at arm's length because, a captain might have to make the hard call someday and you might have to send your friend to die. I think Michael she's very much a connected person, and she views her crew as her family. And considering all they've been through, I think that's a really valid way to feel about them, because these are the only people who really and truly get you, because not only have you went through this really difficult circumstance together, but these are the only people left from the time in which you were brought up. To our knowledge, there's no time travel, but I feel like people from 930 years in the past are going to have a very different culture from people today. So in some ways, they've kind of become a culture all to their own just because of their timeline. So yeah, Michael's got these deep emotional connections, especially when her best friend is over there and the very young ensign under her care is over there. I'm sure that triggers big sister tendencies for Michael. It certainly would for me. If my best friend and someone I viewed as a younger sibling were over there, I would definitely do the same thing Michael did, no question at all. If I had the ability to save them and bring them back, I would 1000% do it every time. I would always make that call. But here, throwing that into question, completely just it is abrasive to every single sensibility Michael has. She's she doesn't understand how that could have been the wrong call. It was the only for her, it was the only call.
Excellent. I think that's a great point to leave it on, actually. I think you've said that really well, and I am really looking forward to episode 2 next week.
Yeah, me as well. So
cool.
It's going to be great.
Thank you, Ashley. It's been an absolute joy hashing out this episode with you today.
Back at you, Luke. This was a lot of fun. I'm always happy to talk Star Trek with anyone, but I think this is a really great discussion. They've done a lot in one 48-minute episode, so it's wonderful.
Yeah. I know Discovery sometimes gets blamed for packing too much in, but I think here they've done it very skillfully. It's some of the best writing I think Discovery's done so far.
I would definitely agree with that assessment.
Cool. Thank you to Mike for giving us the opportunity to stand in. Hopefully next week your regular hosts Mike and Ian will be back to give you episode 2. Ashley and I will probably be back in a guest capacity, hopefully, to talk Discovery again. In the meantime, Ashley, where can people find you? And have you got any projects or podcasts you'd like to plug?
Sure. Lots of different places. So you can read my words on my blog, nerdyblogging.wordpress.com. I'm also a staff writer at fangirlish.com, where I got to do super cool things like interview the cast and crew of Discovery, as well as Prodigy. So it was really exciting. So I'm the resident Trekspert at Fangirlish, so I'm covering all the Star Trek shows. So if you want to read my work on Star Trek, that's there. I also cover The Mandalorian. I read a lot about film. So those are the things I cover on fangirlish.com. You can hear my words being read on a Roddenberry podcast, Sci-Fi 5, 5 minutes of science fiction history and occasional science fact history 5 days a week. So I contribute a few scripts a month to that podcast. You can hear me not only on the We Made This podcast network, but also on a podcast I do with my friends where we talk about film, television, video games, comics, whatever we're geeking out about. It's called Dearly Debated. And you can follow me on Twitter at The Nerdy Blogger, or you can like my Facebook page, facebook.com/TheNerdyBlogger. So,
excellent.
Busy lady.
Brilliant. Very busy lady.
Yeah.
You can find me on the We Made This network in other places. I host a fringe podcast called Observing the Pattern. We've just come to the end of our season 3 coverage, taking a short break over Christmas, and we're back in February for season 4. I currently co-host with Craig McKenzie Rarely Going, which is our Star Trek animated podcast. We're currently covering Prodigy, which we are all thoroughly enjoying. It's an absolute delight. That's also taken a break over the Christmas holidays, so we'll be back after I think this weekend is our last episode before the Christmas break, I think, if I'm right. But I think that's back in January or February as well.
Prodigy's coming back January 6th.
Yes, brilliant. So we'll be back to finish our coverage of season 1, or the first half of season 1 now that they've incorporated another 10 episodes. You can also find me over the next 5 weeks on our podcast 616 Marvel Universe podcast. I am co-hosting with our network chief Tony for the Hawkeye section for the next 5 weeks. I'm really excited about covering that. It's Hawkeye's one of my favourite characters and criminally underused.
Yeah,
but so I'm looking forward to that. And you can find me personally on Twitter at Luke_Winch. Remember, we are part of the We Made This podcast network. Please follow us on Apple and give us a 5-star review. That's a 5-star review. Mm-hmm. It really helps us get out there. You can also help our network financially if you go to patreon.com/We Made This. Star Trek is not all we're talking about, and we'll give you a taste of what else is going on in the network in a minute. But for now, this is a We Are Starfleet signing off.
Elsewhere on We Made This.
Chucky Vision.
I've been on some Chucky forums, and there is a lot of hate about Chucky being woke, having a homosexual agenda, how it's ruined the franchise by making it too gay. And I'm like, really? How can you possibly suggest that it's ruined the franchise by being too gay when Seed of Chucky is a thing?
And even if people, I know some people, Seed of Chucky is quite a debatable film, but even Bride is very camp. People should have known the sensibilities of this franchise ages ago.
Free with this month's issue. The editor, Mark Sutherland, who's a cunt.
A notorious man.
Yeah, he's the man that ran the magazine into the ground. He opens the issue with a really fucking cringy editor's letter.
Oh yeah, he does.
Which says, for the first 8 months of the year, the alternative nation was depressed. UK garage and pop shite was ruling the charts, and our music was being pushed off the airwaves and common room stereos across the land.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, I looked into the alternative music scene of the first 8 months of 2000. Already released that year, there had been Primal Scream's Exterminator, Blood Flowers by The Cure, Suicide Pact You First by Therapy.
Movie-versaries.
The highest grossing film in the case of Avatar. I don't think anybody ever considers it popular, but everybody saw it, which is really weird. It's this strange case of this film that made so much money, pushed special effects forward so much, and it isn't based on any intellectual property. Not directly anyway, but it has zero cultural footprint. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah, apart from the whole visual thing, right? It's impossibly mediocre. It is so middle of the road. It's not even bad enough to be spoken about.
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.